Hear that? Is that America cheering or a sausage patty sizzling to perfection? It's time to cheer for Egg McMuffin and fresh cracked eggs at McDonald's. It's time to wake up to the aroma of freshly baked biscuits and treat yourself to a real honest-to-goodness morning meal. Breakfast, it's on at McDonald's. Now enjoy a large iced coffee for just $2. Add a breakfast sandwich to make a meal. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
You should be saving for the future, but savings accounts suck, and investing can be scary. We combine the ease of savings with the real returns of investing. We call it Save Vesting, and it's only available in our new app, Stairs. Stairs offers 4 to 6% returns, no fees, and you can withdraw anytime. Do your future a favor. Visit StairsApp.com today.
Hey, and welcome to the HA Podcast. I'm Danny Sheriff, the host of this podcast, the founder of the HA Society, and an HA recovery coach who has walked wherever you currently are. This is the place to come if you care about getting your period regularly. This podcast aims to educate, inform, and keep you motivated on your period and HA recovery track. I would love it if you could rate and review this podcast, 5 stars only, to help make this podcast easier for other women with HA to find it. And last thing, nothing from this show should be taken as medical advice. Please seek the advice of your physician. We are hosting an event that you are invited to. My co-HA coach Ashley and I are inviting you to a free 5-day workshop called Mental Hunger Mindset Mastery. What a name, I know, but it really sums up what the workshop does and is really well. A very common concern around HA recovery is, what if I can't hear my hunger cues? And there's a widespread fear of accidentally over or under eating for recovery because we don't understand our mental hunger or lack thereof hunger. And it's like mental hunger, what's that versus actual hunger? And I think this whole confusion around real hunger and the hunger that's just in my head and should I be eating this much and all of that jazz, it just really needs to be consolidated. We need to get on the same page with this. We need to feel better about it and get a plan of action. So we're going to turn it all on its head in this workshop. Over the 5 days, we're going to work with you to understand what mental hunger is and why we have it. We're going to teach you to partner with it both during and after recovery, just for life. And we're going to give you the tools and strategies that you need to listen to your hunger during the different stages and phases of both recovery and your whole life. The workshop will go over 5 days starting November 12th, and there'll be 3 live Zoom calls. Don't worry, there is a recording of every call if you miss one, and there'll be assignments for you to tackle on the days in between the live calls. So register for this free workshop now by heading to thehasociety.com/workshop or find the link in the show notes. That's the thehasociety.com/workshop. Can't wait to see you in the Mental Hunger Mindset Mastery Workshop. Hey all, hope you're having a really good day. Jumping on to talk about stress. This is a fun one. It's been coming up a lot with honestly everyone. It always does. It's always a part of the conversation, right? The 3 main contributors to HA are not eating enough, over-exercising, and chronic stress. And the stress piece for many people comes last. And I think that has a bit to do with the fact that it's not tangible, right? Like it's exercise, you can measure, food you can measure in some way or another, whether it be by feel or by scale. But stress, it's like, it's kind of, stress to me means something different to you. And so I think it can be hard to quantify. And so it's harder for many reasons for people to really understand the role of stress in their recovery. So can stress actually affect your period? Yes. And I think we all know this on some level, but it's one of those things that it still confuses us, and that confusion stops us from taking action to actually distress. We'll say things like, well, I'm not that stressed, or I can't relax. And only the weak are affected by stress. Those are all statements that I know that you, at least most of you, have thought at some point. And I know that because I've thought things like that too. And there are plenty of places where you can go and find a thorough explanation of what's happening in your body when it's under chronic stress. We even have an amazing talk inside of the HA Society that you can go and watch if you're a member, by Holly Dunn, who really breaks down the biological processes that are happening. It's extremely nerdy and scientific, but it's wonderful. And, truthfully, when we try to listen to experts recite the bodily processes of stress, although it's interesting, we can learn a lot, my eyes just glaze over. It's the type of thing that I needed to hear 100 million times before it really made sense and I could apply it to myself. So I'm going to do that sciencey part really, really quick. I'm going to make it very easy to understand. The hypothalamus is like, whoa, this is stressful. And it releases gonadotropin releasing hormone. And then the pituitary gland hears that hormone and it's like, let's roll. And then stress hormone cortisol stays high as a kite because of that, until finally this threat that's causing this response goes away. And all of those naturally occurring responses, processes, they can calm down and bring you back into a nice homeostasis where you are meant to be a majority of the time. And everyone in the brain fist pumps and goes back to reading their book and chilling to music. With HA, with what's happening with you and most people in today's Western society, is that stress hormone response is staying up indefinitely. It's not fist bumping, coming back down and reading books and chilling to music. So let's talk about how this stress response plays into HA recovery. When your body enters into this chronically stressed state, it starts to ration its resources, right? It evaluates what we need and what we don't need in order to function, and it shuts those processes down, including the reproductive system. So let's look at your life for one hot minute, shall we? Those deadlines at your job are constantly looming. That holiday you took 9 months ago was 9 months ago, and it was only for a week or two. And we all know that it takes a few days, if not a week, to at least get into holiday mode. That relationship with your friend, colleague, neighbor, whoever, it's just not improving. And how in the world are you supposed to have enough money to own a house, have a family, and eventually retire, and keep up with all of the Joneses all at the same time? And I barely understand my own financial situation most of the time. How am I now? I need to go learn about crypto. Like, all of these things are micro stresses, and they're putting you in a constant state of, wait for it, needing to achieve, moving from one task to the next, like your life is some production line. There's no end in sight. It's these little tiny things. They feel normal to all of us because we're all dealing with it. But it's really not normal. It's just common. And I mean, right now, I am recording this podcast because I feel like I need to keep pushing content out in order for my mission to restore everyone's missing period to be successful. But I had a choice. I could enjoy my coffee and my croissant with a book and just kind of like take time for myself, or I could squeeze in this podcast episode in between meetings, which is literally what's happening right now. What physiological response do you think made me choose recording this podcast? Probably the stress of needing to achieve or fall behind. That's a total trip. Okay, so after this, I will go and relax. I'm joking because guess what? I have more meetings after this call. When we start down the path of recovery, we begin giving our body some of the resources it needs to heal. Food and physical rest, to name the main players here. And systematically, our body is taking those resources and utilizing them in places that it feels fit to utilize them. This, my friends, is called your metabolism, right? The total of the cellular processes going on in your cells at all times to sustain your life. I think a lot of people hear metabolism and they think like how fast you burn calories, but like for weight loss purposes. But remember, the metabolism is, the total of the processes going on in your cells at all times, 24/7 to sustain your life. This is where, some individuality comes into play, and some people get their recovery periods sooner than others. Our bodies have different priorities for utilizing energy and are recovering from different levels of stress. This is why you cannot compare your journey to others or your stress levels to the girl sitting next to you. By now, you may be connecting the dots, right? Like your body can have all the calories and physical rest it needs, but if stress isn't reducing at the same time, you're going to see slower or zero results. This is also why a significant calorie increase really works. Your body wants to be able to prioritize ovulation coming back online, but if every week you're eating in a slight surplus and then putting your body through another stressful event like an intense workout or a fight with your partner, your body may redirect or direct those resources to dealing with that particular issue instead of the issue of no ovulation, because right now, with stressful situations happening, it's not safe to get pregnant. So, give yourself grace and patience. Understand that everything you do during this time matters. Your body is in a need to totally de-stress. You may need to do something that's extremely difficult for you and give yourself more space and rest than you could ever imagine allowing yourself, right? There's that voice in your head that's like, you don't deserve that, or like, that's okay for her, but it's not okay for me, or I probably have a higher stress threshold, blah, blah, blah. That's all stories in your head. And the amount of space and rest that you need to take is the amount that in the past you have probably judged other people for taking. So, can this explanation help you make sense of the role of stress in recovery enough for you to make some massive shifts? Question mark. Like, here's where I'm at right today, this thing I need to deal with for my own stress levels. Exciting announcement, quit my full-time job to come over to the HA Society. At least that's what I'm doing for now. I mean, I'm open to some other opportunity coming up, but for the next while, this is all I'm going to do. I'm just going to podcast with you guys. I'm going to coach my clients. I'm going to hang out in the society. It's going to be great. Woo for me. And part of why I did that was because I'm a mum now, and things here are getting busier. They are taking up, the HA Society stuff is taking up more time, and I'm running a full-time job. So one of those things I just feel in my heart it needs to give, because I'm so busy. I'm so stressed, right? So I quit the job, and I'm realizing pretty quickly that I'm thinking about all the things I can do with this newfound time. I can spend more time with my baby, and I can do all of these additional projects that I've wanted to do for the society. So I'm filling that space that the full-time job gave me. I'm filling that space with these new things. And there's a saying, and I'm going to butcher it, right? But the task will take the amount of time that you allocate to it. So if you only have 1 hour to finish a project, you'll finish it in an hour. If you have 5 hours, you'll finish it in 5 hours. And I think that for me, not filling every minute of my day with productivity is one of the key things for stress for me. And I remember when I first recovered, I used to work honestly 7 days a week. I would log on the weekends to my job as well, and it was wild. And in many ways I've been doing that again recently, but when I was in recovery, I started to take the weekend off. And that, amongst other things, I got my period back. Because I know that busyness and the need to produce and the need to achieve is a stress for me at all times. I crawl into bed sometimes in the evening. I'm ready to relax with my book. And this sudden pang of like, how are things with that client? Or I didn't check in with that client. Or they had a hard time and a hard week and I take personal responsibility. Or it's just something else, right? Like something at work, or I haven't, given enough attention to my husband, or judgments around being a mom, like things like that. They'll just suddenly appear in my mind in the evening because my mind is like, are you going to bed now? You're like relaxing. You have this downtime. You should be filling this in with productivity, girl. So I just feel like a lot of you will relate to that. That constant busyness is tough. Yeah. And it's contributing. It's contributing to your period not coming back because every time you give your body some rest or some food or whatever, it's utilizing those resources to deal with some of the stress that's on your plate as well. The body is cyclical, and the body is like every single thing. It's this ecosystem, this environment, and one thing affects the other, and what's happening in your mind affects what's happening in your body and vice versa. So, you need to be treating stress reduction with the same intensity, for lack of a better term, as you are with, eating more food and resting as well. So that is my little spiel for today. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you guys next Wednesday when the next episode comes out. Bye. Thank you so much for listening today, guys. Please subscribe to the podcast, and if you could head to iTunes specifically and leave a rating or review, that would help so much because it makes it easier for other people with HA who are Googling around to find the podcast really easily. So if you do that, you're doing a service to all of the women.
Here's to getting back together, to planned lunches and unplanned cookouts, to grandma's recipes and smells that take us back, to passing down plates and traditions. Here's to warm embraces and familiar faces, to your best friends becoming best friends, to scheming, dreaming, and food still steaming. Here's to laughter and love, to growing closer than ever. For all of life's get-togethers, Chinette, here's to us.